All right, gang, we are in, it's like canning season central in our kitchen. Tomatoes everywhere. We have picked over 150 pounds of tomatoes already. And I have a roaster full that have cooked overnight. And we are making Bloody Mary mix this morning. So that's new for us and it's going to be exciting to try. And some other sauces just to put on the shelf. And I wanted to take this time and show you how we cook with our garden vegetables for quick meals. Now, I have made, the other day, I didn't know what to do. I was doing tomatoes in my roaster, and I usually take the juice off of it. So I used my crock pot and did vegetable soup with that juice, and then just went down to the garden and picked everything I could find that was ripe and just tossed it in there, and we had vegetable soup for 2 days. So that's always an option. But today I have a huge head of cabbage and I have some marinara that I did not process from the other day. So we're going to whip that up and make crock pot cabbage rolls. That way it can cook all day long, and once I'm done messing with it this morning, I don't have to touch it again. My kiddo just started school. She has soccer practice. My husband has work. So this way, everybody can eat when they come in, and it'll be a nice, hot, fresh meal. So let me show you how we do our cabbage rolls. The first thing we need to do is get a pot of salt water going on the stove and get it boiling. We want to put our cabbage leaves in here to soften them up so that way we can roll them. Gently peel your larger leaves off because you want to keep these intact. And the only reason I'm wearing gloves is I had a poisonous caterpillar sting my hand, and it hurts really bad, and I don't know if it was inside of this or not, so just for safety. But keep them in as big of a piece as you can. And this is a 7-pound cabbage, which we're not going to use nearly even a quarter of it. So the rest of this we are going to turn into kimchi later on. To my bowl, I have probably 3/4 of a pound of sausage, about a cup of rice, a splash of milk, one of our chicken eggs, a quarter of a diced onion, and then just some salt and pepper. So we're going to get in here with our hands and just mix all of this up. And this is going to be the filling for our cabbage rolls. What's nice about this recipe, everything came from the garden except the sausage, rice, and milk. So that is really the only thing I had to purchase at the store. Everything else we had in the garden growing. All right, there's our mixture. We're going to set that to the side. With our cooked cabbage leaves, I'm going to take off any bad spots like this one here. I think I have 2. I do. All right, so there's our cabbage leaf. We're just going to take a handful of this mixture, right like that, and put it in the center of our leaf. We're going to take the ends, roll them in, and then curl it around. Now, before you put this in your crock pot, you want to lay the seam that we made down on the bottom of the pot. Spray your crock pot with either Pam or a good cooking spray first so that these guys don't stick to the bottom. And as this cooks, the meat will cook in the wrap itself. It's a great way to use cabbage, and these freeze really well too. If you have an abundance and you do this, you can make this as a freezer meal too. Now that we have everything in our crock pot, we are going to take some of our homemade marinara and just pour right over the top of these cabbage rolls. All right, we're gonna put the lid on this and let it cook for probably 8 hours on low. All right, guys, here is our roaster pan full of tomatoes And you can see what I'm doing here is just getting ladles of juice and putting that in a different container. That way we don't have to cook our tomatoes down for as long if we get all of that juice off. Then what we're gonna do is take this juice and turn it into a Bloody Mary mix. So I let my tomatoes cook all night, and then after I get my kiddo on the bus to school, then I have all day to can and make up recipes because I don't have to take her anywhere. I don't have any practices to go to because everything's contained at school. So we're good until 6 o'clock tonight. Woo! Now you can still see some juice on here, but I have taken 3 quarts of the juice off, and you can see how much thicker that is already. So I don't think we're gonna take any more off of it. We're just gonna leave it like it is. I'm getting this recipe out of this book, and it has a lot of ingredients in it, so I'm just gonna read them off for you instead of doing it as I dump everything in. All right, so as I'm looking at this, you're going to need 2 quarts of tomato juice, which we have already put into our large stainless steel pot. You're also going to need a 1/2 cup of finely minced celery hearts, which we need to go down to the garden and get those. 6 tablespoons of Worcestershire sauce, if I said that correctly. 6 tablespoons of dill pickle juice. 1/4 cup of prepared horseradish, 2 tablespoons of hot sauce of your choice, 2 teaspoons of salt, 2 teaspoons of garlic powder, 1 teaspoon of black pepper and 1 teaspoon of celery seeds, and 1 teaspoon of smoked paprika. And then you're gonna let that cook and bring it to a boil, and you're gonna let it simmer for 5 minutes. Then we're gonna take it off of the stove and off of the heat. And then at that point, we're going to add in 1 whole cup of bottled lemon juice. The great thing about growing a variety of vegetables is you have your choice. If you have to can something that requires things like celery, you can just go down to the garden and pick it. I'm starting with the outer leaves here, or the outer stalks here first, as we work our way in. And you guys, that's what it looks like straight off the plant. Just like that. I'm just gonna get in here with a whisk and stir this around, and I wanna bring this to a boil and then boil it down for 5 minutes. And that's all the longer this is gonna cook for. And then we're gonna jar it up. And it smells so good. I think it's the horseradish that makes it smell so good. We've pulled our mixture off of the heat, and now we need to add in 1 cup of lemon juice. And that's our acid. And then we're just gonna stir that in really well. Fogging me up. And now we're ready to can it up. When filling our jars with this, we want a 1/2 inch of headspace. And then we're gonna water bath can all of these for 35 minutes if your altitude is 1,000 feet or below. If it's higher than that, you're gonna have to find yourself a handy dandy chart and adjust accordingly. All right, guys, we ended up with 6 quarts of tomato sauce and 7 pints of Bloody Mary mix. So I am completely whooped after doing all of that work today. And I know it doesn't seem like a lot looking at it, but each jar is a potential component for a meal. And when you look at it that way, we did pretty good today. So all we have to do now is wait for soccer practice to be over and my husband to come home, and then we can serve up our delicious cabbage rolls that we made earlier. And I hope you try that recipe because they are really good. So until next time, we'll see you guys. Take care and God bless. Bye.